Hello, I'm ScriptStriker, and today we're back working on my indie game, arcade game, The Game. And in today's devlog, we're going to be doing lots of procedural generation, trigonometry, and golf balls. Now, in case you didn't catch the last devlog, that was mainly focused on adding a space game to the arcade, and of course, a very evil purple octopus. So anyway, let's begin. So here I am playing an unfinished game of mine called Golf in It, where the point is to try and navigate through many procedurally generated golf courses with your golf ball. Now this is an idea that I would like to pursue further, so we're going to recreate this game in the arcade. So here we go. So to begin making this game, it's time to sort out the tile set for the floor. So this is quite similar to the original tile. However, the colours have been updated to make it pop out of the screen a bit more and appear a bit more vibrant. Now these are simply just on sort of upscale, and these are more of a zigzag pattern. Now overall I think what this one accomplishes and the others cannot is the idea of a sort of in-between colour while still providing texture, so I'm going to keep this tile. To begin, I added a new tile representing the rough, which acts as a sort of barrier for your ball, and the ball itself, which is a nice crisp animation. Now this ball doesn't come to control of what I will refer to as a magic bean, an invisible dot that you move your mouse buttons or QSD, and depending on what dot's location, it'll depend where the ball is fired to. Now currently, this dot is completely invisible and you can't see where it is, which makes the ball very difficult to control. So it's time to change that. I've now added a beam to represent where the dot is in relation to the ball so you can see what you're doing, but currently it's a bit boring, so let's change that. So this beam seems a lot less boring and provides more feedback to the player. It now has a yellow to red gradient, so depending on how far it is from the ball, it depends how red it is. So I would say that that's a job well done. Now an issue with this beam is it expects a perfect circle for how far it can go with its max distance. Now obviously, when you're trying to go from the far left to the far south, you do not want to have to move your beam inwards and bend downwards, you only want to move downwards, which is currently an issue, so of course it's time to add a sort of aim assist for this aim system. Now this circle aim assist in place, so now if you're too far left and you want to go down, it'll bring it inwards a bit. Now this works on all sides and it is brilliant. But right now you are hitting the ball with air. Now obviously that's not how golf works, so it's time for an art time lapse. So I've just implemented the golf club we made in the art time lapse, and it's looking quite good. The game is coming together now. But we need some hazards, so let's make them. So here's a bunker. It comes in 3 forms, so depending on the size of the bunker I can vary it. And it also slows your golf ball down when you go through it, a bit like Minecraft Soul Sand. And now we have the water hazards. Now water hazards, when you go through them, they reset you back to the start. And like the bunker, they come in 3 forms, so I can easily make them in different sizes. But these water hazards did lead to a very interesting glitch. As you can see here, it seems like there's some poor coding, because if you hit the water hazard a certain way, you've suddenly got about 20 more balls than you need. And this works forever and ever, so you can end up with like 40 balls if you really want to. So sadly, I think I may have to fix this. There are now a hole at the end of the golf course, which means that you can actually finish a level. But obviously, if you're a million miles away, you'll have no idea where this hole is. So it's time to implement an arrow so you can see where you're going. Right, there is now an arrow pointing at the hole, so no matter where you are, you can be left, right, up, down, go doing the Konami code, whatever, it'll always point towards the hole, which is quite cool, I say. Right, it's the coding for no segment, so that arrow you've seen is actually very deceptively easy. This is all the code that you have to understand if you want to have one object turn to face another object. So I'll show you the process. So this is the arrow, and we want it to point towards that hole. So if we link them with a line and have a baseline of 0 degrees, we know that angle x is how much the arrow has to turn. Now how do we get x? Well, this is easier said than done, but we use a bit of simple trigonometry. So to use trigonometry, we just make this a triangle. So we link these up with a perpendicular line, meaning this is a right angle here, and we label the corner with a big X. And now we have a nice triangle. Now if we give each corner coordinates, so mn, hi, and therefore hn, we divide the length of the sides, so h minus m and I minus n. And a hypotenuse is a little more tricky because we have to use the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now if we substitute in our length, so h minus m and I minus n, we can find the length of hypotenuse. Now I've chosen to give the hypotenuse a length of L instead of writing out the full algebra, simply because the full algebra would be a lot harder to understand for a newcomer. So if we get rid of all that Pythagoras nonsense, and it's time for the actual trigonometry. So if you want to find the adjacent of any triangle from the angle, you use the cos of the angle, you do cos angle, and then you times by the hypotenuse. So that would be cos x times L equals h minus m. But of course we already have h minus m and we want to find out what x is. So that means that we have to do a cos h minus m divided by L, which equals x, because we are reversing the equation by using arc cos cosine instead of regular cosine. So that's the simple way of using trigonometry to rotate an object to face another object. So, on to the next part. So, now it's the big addition. Golf courses. Infinite golf courses. Made from procedural generation. So the way these work is that we have a start, an end, and then we shove some segments in between. Each segment is 6 tiles high, and I can add as many or as little as I want. So currently it's about 10 segments, which I will try and showcase to you here, if I can beat the hole. And so because there's 3 possible segments in each course, there are currently 1,000 different courses you can play from. So you can play this for quite a while while every single repeat. It's quite brilliant, and I hope if this game comes out sooner or later, you'll enjoy the randomness of this game. To make this game actually playable, we have now a timer, so you can see how fast you're doing these holes, and a hole number. So the general game loop here is you do 9 holes in the fastest time possible, and then it'll tell you your time there at the end, and then of course you click on the X and you go to the menu to start again and see if you've beaten your high score. So here we have the arcade machine I've just made for this game, which of course is beautiful and leads to the menu, which is quite similar to all your other menus. So yeah, that's done, and now all we need to add to this game for it to be completely finished and ready for the arcade is our favourite octopus. So, the devlog's over now pretty much. Here's our octopus friend, he's doing his usual glitchy business. So I'd just like to say, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, because we've got more devlogs on the way. The next video is probably going to be a bit more golf stuff. But anyway, au revoir, see ya. I forgot to mention, the reason some of this footage is so glitchy is because for some reason stream recording makes every game ever about 10 million times more glitchy. Like usually I've got okay performance, but recording just makes it awful. So I do apologise for the quality. Anyone who tries to say recording doesn't tank performance is a bigger lie than Blizzard Games. Yeah, that is all. Au revoir.